Hello everyone, welcome to yet another series of Charcha, the discussion series with the leaders. And today I have a special guest with me. I have with me Dr. T.S. Parmar, who's the MD and CEO of Albert Davis India. Thank you so much, sir, for your time, giving us your precious time and sharing your insights with all the millennials who are part of this group. So quickly taking you through how has it been sir's journey. So the Dr. Parmar, he's a PhD in marketing from Commonwealth Vocational University. He also has an ongoing PhD in strategic management from Amity University. He's done his MMS in marketing from the Mumbai University, and he has over 32 years of vast experience in the Indian pharma and healthcare segment with leading multinational as well as Indian pharma companies. With the wide exposure into roles, functional roles, including sales, marketing, strategy, mergers and acquisitions, general management, etc. He's also been a visiting and a guest faculty and member of board of studies at many reputed and top management institutes of the country, which includes Narsamonji Institute of Management Studies, Amity University, to name a few. So, sir, thank you so much for being a part of this discussion series. I formally welcome you, and I would like you to take our viewers briefly through how has this journey been? How has this long journey of 32 years with the industry been?
Yeah, thank you so much. Very good evening. And I sincerely hope that in these very challenging and tough times, all of us are safe, happy, and healthy. Thank you so much for calling me over. It's always a pleasure to interact with the new generation, the millennials as we call them, more from a learning experience for myself. I always consider life as a continuous learning process and journey. And it will be a great pleasure to share my own journey of 32 years. It's actually changed over to 33 very recently. Yeah, it's 35 plus 2 years of MMS. So minus that, it's 33 years in the industry. I've been very lucky because I've been guided very well. I've been supported very well, and I've been encouraged throughout my journey. All essential elements to keep you on the right track and keep you boosted. And that is why I feel obliged to give back to society and to the students their benefits and advantages that I've got in my life. You have mentioned part of my journey. I started my career in January 1986. I was guided well. I come from a defense family. My father was the first batch of naval aviators. And we had a number of facilities in the defense, and one of the very expensive hobbies of people, the rich Raizadas, is yachting. And we got it obviously complimentary. And I'm a junior, in fact, a national yachter in enterprise class boat. And the other civilians, as we call them, who used to come for yachting, either were the big seats or the senior executives. So out of my inquisitiveness, I used to ask them, what should I be doing in life? So they said, what do you want to do? And I said, I want to do an MBA. And that's where my first excellent, support as far as a guide came in. In fact, all the executives told me, if you want to do well in life, don't join an MBA immediately after your graduation. Do at least 2 years of brass tacks, ground level training in the industry that you want to be joining. So I was doing my life sciences from St. Xavier's College, and I obviously wanted to get into healthcare. And that's where I did not join an MBA. In fact, I got selected into direct entry officer in defense also. Yeah. And that's where they said, no, you join at the grassroots level. And that grassroots level was a medical rep. And out of Xavier's, out of a defense kind of a background, all these are plum backgrounds that you talk about. I went in as a medical rep, which that time was unthinkable. And that too in a top multinational known as Hext, which today is known as Sanofi Aventis or Sanofi now. Yeah. So 2 years from Mumbai, St. Xavier's College, Navy Nagar. I was headquartered in an offbeat location of Sagar in MP. If some of you know that, it was actually a micro interior. Even where drinking water was a problem. But that gave me the ground. Why I'm giving this background is very important for the millennials to learn that. If your foundation is good, and if you learn the brass tacks of the industry that you want to join, and you know how, the nuts and bolts are tightened, and how to do the welding of your machine, no one can fool you on the shop floor. Similarly, if you're joining sales and marketing, if you do it in the toughest of situations, tomorrow you know what to strategize and how to strategize. So that's where my journey started. I decided to do MBA, so came and did my MMS, joined PMT, was in excellent companies. I was in Boots then, which today is known as Abbott. Boots became Knoll became Abbott. Then arguably, I don't think even arguably, certainly the best marketing training organization in pharma. And excellent mentors. I would love to mention Mr. Sudarshan Jain, whom I consider as my mentor. So the learning was fantastic. From there on, I have moved to many Indian companies, also to Eli Lilly, which was a multinational. I learned my super specialty through Dabur. I practically created Dabur Oncology, which from nowhere as an Ayurvedic company became the #1 onco company in the country during my tenure. That's where I learned that. I was in Eli Lilly, like I said, for a long duration. I was with Zydus Cadila in different roles. I was heading the chronic care, and then I was picked up by corporate into mergers and acquisitions. So learned a different aspect of life. Very few people get that opportunity. And then we had acquired a company in Mumbai known as Biochem. So from Ahmedabad, I was shifted here as the first head of Biochem under the Zydus banner. And then the taste of turning around companies came into me. So from big organizations, I got into the chaska, if I can use a Hindi word, of redoing the structure and strategies of mid-sized companies. So from Biochem, I moved to Jubilant, which is a big name in chemicals and foods, but did not have an Indian pharma operation. So Greenfield set up their shop. And then now Albert David Limited, which is a traditional, many decades old company based out of Kolkata, promoter driven, who wanted to professionalize. And now I've even partially, like we were briefly sharing, I've shifted my front end operations to Mumbai, because that is where the hub of pharma marketing is. So we have a dual office, one in Kolkata and one in Mumbai. So what I want to share as a learning to people is your path has to be decided by you, but has to be supported by professionals in the industry, because we may not have a full vision and understanding at a startup level into the industry and a career. So while all of us in millennials are very smart, well educated, and probably many of us think we know everything, there is something that is known as experience. There is something that is known as maturity. Why not take that advantage when it is for my selfish and my own benefit? So that's the message I want to leave. Over to you.
Amazing journey, sir. And I must say, you've beautifully highlighted how important it is to have a mentor. And especially, when you are confused, or when you're choosing your career, choosing the line that you want to get into, a mentor plays a very, very important role. And somebody who does not have an experience, if you use the experience and the expertise that comes from these mentors, you can really, really go a long way in your career. Thank you so much for sharing that. So I would want to start with my first question, sir. So my first question is that when you recruit someone since you've worked with many multinationals and Indian companies, when you recruit somebody in the organization, what are your expectations from them as a new joinee or as a new trainee just entering into the organization?
A very pertinent question, Ms. Rachna. It is actually addressed in professional companies adequately, because all professional and well-established companies have something known as a JD, job description. And from the job description is defined the role. So there's a role definition. And when you define a role, you also define the skill sets that you're expecting from your new joinee. And based on the skill set and the role requirement, you do a candidate profiling and recruitment. So basically, if your recruitment and onboarding process is right, you know what you're looking for, whom you're looking for, and you let the candidate also know what you're looking for. So if there is a match, because end of the day, getting in a candidate, I would like to draw a simile between, though, a child does not have a choice of birth in a family, but it's almost a simile. A child comes into a family so that there's a long-term, in fact, lifelong bonding between the child and the parents and the siblings. Similarly, when you recruit a candidate, the benefit here is you know who the candidate is. The benefit to the candidate is he knows which family or which company is joining. And if there is a match between the requirements of both sides, then you develop and initiate this bonding. And you're hoping that this bonding will last productively for both sides for, if not eternity, at least till retirement. Yeah. So the one advantage here is that visibility on both sides. Once there is an onboarding of the new joinee, the only requirement in a professional company is you have a role definition. Out of the role definition and the JD are KRAs and KPIs for the year. You just have to do what is expected out of the KRAs and KPIs. That is as far as the quantitative part is concerned. Mm-hmm. Beyond the quantitative part, assuming that the fit is right and everything is there, you have to have the qualitative compliance by accepting and adhering to the company policies, the vision and the mission statement, and also the strategic outlook and the discipline part. So there's a qualitative requirement, which is more to do with the elements I spoke about. Quantitatively, every year, there is a well-defined KRA KPI, which is as per the role that is defined. And that is all that you're expected to do in a professional company.
Okay, sir. So how does a candidate align, fresher coming into the company? How does he align his expectations and his goal with the vision and mission of the company?
Yeah. That is why I said, unlike a child who doesn't know which family the child is coming into, there is a visibility or expected visibility here. Now, let me give the example of the institute that you're working in, and we'll I'm sure, give this example and many other questions you might have. It's a domain-specific MBA course. There are, if not mentors, at least there are industry professionals who are coming in. Plus, there are expert professors who are, permanent faculty within the institute. There is enough visibility given to all the students. There are a couple of other good domain-specific pharma institutes also, engineering institutes also. There is enough visibility that the candidate or the student gets about the industry, about the various companies in the industry, and the prospective companies that he wants to join. All millennials are super experts in IT and computer. Okay, I don't know how much of it is productively used. Sorry for that statement, but yeah, at least for your selfish interest and your career perspective, I'm sure they do enough of Google search about the companies they want to target. So there's a considered set of companies I want to get into. I do enough of it. All that I've spoken about, mission, vision, who are the senior management, what is the culture of a company, quantitative, qualitative aspects of any company are public domain knowledge. Plus, the major advantage you have when you're from good institutes like NM or SIS and some of the other good institutes in pharma is you have alumni, senior alumni. So that is a auto network which is already formed. And I'm sure there are links. If not, with very seniors, you have the link with 2-3 years senior to you. They would have links with the onward. And you have the benefit of getting networked with them. And you can definitely get information. Your question becomes very important here. Please do not blindly apply into companies. Just because it's part of the industry you want to get into, my requirement, my culture of a company, my mindset of a career path may be very different from someone else's. So please get into these nitty-gritties and specific feedback about a company, and also about the bosses in the company, because you need to gel with them. I may be an aggressive guy, someone may not be so aggressive. So you need to do this kind of a profiling about the company, about the culture of the company, so that you get into a near right fit kind of an environment. Right fit you would know only once you join there. But at least this kind of research will minimize the risk. And I think this is a very important question that you have asked.
Yes, sir. So doing the homework, doing a lot of research about the company is very, very important. And everybody has to understand that, just blindly applying for companies doesn't work. You need to understand that you are not meant for all the companies. All the job applicants need to understand that they're not meant for all the companies, and all companies are not meant for them. So it's basically networking and their research which will help them get this clarity.
Absolutely.
So my next question to you is that, of course, we all know that change is a constant. So what is your suggestion to the millennials in order to adapt themselves to this ever-changing industry, ever-changing market scenario?
A very pertinent question in today's times. And this is one of my favorite topics when I take a lot of talks and various symposiums. Number one is because anything that you say, and if people say this is old, I said this is because it has changed. So it gives you an escape route. One of my favorite and very, very popular statements, and I can take up credit of copyright to this because I've changed it a little. And I like to state it here. If you change with change, okay, most people reply you succeed. I said no. If you change with change, the whole world is doing that. So you will only barely survive. But if you're smart and you anticipate change, then there are good chances that you will succeed. But if you are smarter and in your small domain of influence, however small it is, whether it's local in your society, in your family, or in your institute, or in your company, if you are actually the catalyst and initiator of change, you will excel. So I'll just repeat it again. If you change with change, you will only barely survive. But if you anticipate change and change before the others, you will succeed. And if you are smart and you are the initiator of change, in whatever small sphere you will excel. And therefore, I encourage people to keep their antennas open every time, because even change does not know how change will change and how fast it will change. That is the kind of pace we are. Most of our millennials go to gyms, okay? And people like us, who they call oldies, prefer walking on mud and the road paths, because we feel that is natural. In a gym, you have a very popular instrument or equipment which is known as a treadmill. So today's life is a treadmill without the stop button and a pace which is not less than 6 miles an hour. So you cannot brisk walk, you have to start jogging. Okay, and you do not have the alternative of stopping. So that is what is the reality of today. You have to accept that reality of today, and you have to keep a 360-degree radar on, your ears cleaned. So all your senses, 5 and 6 and 7 senses, whatever you want to call them, need to be super refined so that you know what is the opportunity coming in. Because the competition is intense. Opportunities are there, but they're grabbed immediately. So if you want to stand out and differentiate yourself from the rest of the world, which is the requirement today, you need to be proactive. You need to be forward-looking. And you cannot go into a slumber. So that is the reality today. The new generation, millennials, have a lot of advantages. This challenge has to be converted into an opportunity or an advantage. Cribbing will only make you, regress in life and lose out on the opportunities.
Yeah, this is actually such an eye-opener for all of us. We need to keep a pace with the change that's happening. So how important it is to keep updating the skills that we have?
Another related point, absolutely related point. I was hoping that it will come up. When I said change, that means your environment is changing. The social, family, and professional dynamics are changing. Okay, so the requirements are changing. The success stories and the success mantras of yesterday have only become stories now. They need not be the success mantras for today, and definitely not the success mantras for tomorrow. So today's game is very different from yesterday's game, and you have to learn. Now, there are some buzzwords. MBA, we keep using buzzwords, right? We say reskilling. The pace at which we are going, I say many times, even reskilling will not do. Okay, so you say learn, unlearn, relearn, right? The first thing that people talk about in management is you need to upskill yourself. Now, do you have the time, energy, and resources? And people like us, Gen X, and the willingness. So a lot of us are very rigid, right? Or at least were rigid. So do you have the intent and the resources and the time to actually match with the millennials and upskill yourself? So that is question number one. Number 2 point that comes in is reskilling your entire, field force or your management or your factory workforce, whatever it is. So employees reskilling again may not be a mass possibility. And therefore, according to me, that is where NMs and SIS and IMs and all of these and domain specific MBAs in particular come into place. Is at least I as a professional am looking at a pre-skilled. So no upskilling, no reskilling, but more pre-skilled workforce or professionals who are joining my organization. So as a millennial, if you're in institutes like NM and SIS and others, which are Parmar domain specific institutes, I think you have one first advantage is, if I as a recruiter, I as an industry, am looking at professionals, millennials coming into my organization, I'm always obviously wanting people who are not only current skilled, adequately skilled for the current roles, but are also almost there for the upcoming next generation role. Because very soon the Gen Z is going to come. And on the lighter side, if millennials would be 25 to 45 years, and Ms. Rachna, I won't ask you your age. So very okay, I'm definitely a Gen X. Okay, I'm definitely a Gen X. And if the millennials look up to us and say, hey, ye seniors, budde log, okay, Gen X wale hain, just wait for 2 years, buddies. Okay, these 25-year guys are going to come in. They are the Generation Z or the Centennials, and they will call you the Buddhas very soon. So we'll get back at you very soon. Okay, and just imagine 3 generations, people like us from Gen X, people like many of you, Ms. Rachna would want to call herself millennial, okay, and millennials, and very soon the Gen Z or the Centennials who will come in, and the requirements are going to be very different. Okay, and each generation has its own strengths, and maybe somewhere later in the talk, I would like to talk about how do you marry and synergize the strengths of all the generations which are working together, whether it's your family, whether it's your society, or even whether it's a professional setup. I hope I've been able to answer.
Yes, absolutely, sir. And my next question is quite on the same lines. So since I'm sure you've worked with a lot of millennials, how do you feel, they carry a lot of energy with them? How these millennials are actually contributing in the achievement of the organizational goals as compared to the other people, people from the other generations within the organization?
Yeah, I'll keep it a little light and then give kind of simile to the society. Today the generation has changed, even if it is your family or society or your offices. Gone are the days in a family where the head of the family, and I'm not talking and I'm not wanting to be chauvinistic here, okay, or patriarchal here, but in Indian culture at least, the father or the grandfather was supposed to run the family. The mother was to run the household and the children were supposed to have fun. We, Gen X, also did not fully enjoy it because we were the sandwich generation. Okay. But the responsibility structure was very clearly defined. And come 1980s and more so in the 1990s, because of the pressures of society, pressures of work, pressures of survival, things have changed. Every individual in the family has a very clearly defined role and they have to contribute. Now, whether it's a child who has to study well and also do a professional course so that he does not become a unproductive professional in future and does not continue to be taking resources from the family. I'm wanting to use very soft words. Therefore, he has a responsibility to become a professional. There was only the father who was working earlier. Now ladies like you also may not be necessarily only because you want to become a professional. Maybe also not all of us are so lucky. There is a compulsion to run the family, so you need two incomes. And more so now in these COVID times, it becomes even more important. Yeah. So things have changed. So every person has a role in a family. Same happens in a company. 30, 40, 50, 60, 70% of people could be successful, and you could have 30, 40% who are mediocre, and another 30, 40% of people who are unproductive. And companies would, as an average, be successful. It's like that statement which says, head on fire, feet on ice, body temperature, average is normal. Okay. But it does not apply today. It does not apply today because even one chink in the armory is sufficient for a sniper to kill you. And the competition is so stiff, they're just waiting for a weakness. And therefore, every element of your organization, whether it is a vertical of HR, finance, manufacturing, distribution, sales and marketing, every function has to contribute. And within the function, every employee has to contribute. Only then you can first succeed, first survive and then succeed. So answering your question, how important is for energy to be channelized? The benefit that the millennials have today is that they are a bundle of energy. Okay, I don't know where the source is. I would love to, pull up that pipe and pump it into me and get that energy. But energy has two dimensions. One is the positivity, one is the negativity. And let me draw a parallel. You have the atomic energy, you have the nuclear energy, you have the water energy, the hydel energy. Okay, and we know what damage an atomic energy or nuclear energy or the floods of water can do if it is negatively channelized. We also know the tremendous benefits and positivity that a nuclear energy can give you, that a hydroelectric power can give you. Okay, you have so much of advantage that you can draw, and I can go on and on. Same is a simile I want with the millennials and the bundle of energy. They may not be able to do it themselves because they are not supposed to do it. They are at an age group where they're supposed to have fun and just use their energy. Channelizing is where you use the word mentor, a guru, okay, a senior. But there comes a challenge. The millennials think they know everything. Sorry, guys, but it's a fact. We think we know everything because we are exposed to a lot of media. And that's an advantage. But that is a positive angle to experience and seniority. Especially, I want to give you a social message here. You could have n number of acquaintances. We mistake them and call them friends. I have 100 friends. You can't have 100 friends, okay? You can have 40, 50 acquaintances. You can have 3 or 4 or 5 very good friends. But the value of your family will always be paramount. Your family will be at your beck and call at the time of need. Your friends and acquaintances may have their own priorities or may just be superficial relationships. So please realize your parents and family mean good to you. Your mentors and your professors mean good to you. Please keep your options of listening to them open. End of the day, you have to decide. But at least listen to them. And a lot of these advices, a lot of these suggestions come through years of making mistakes. And the best learner, best teacher in life is a mistake. Now, do I want to repeat the mistake and learn? Or do I want someone else's mistake to become my learning so that I make newer mistakes for newer learning? So that's a choice that I have to decide on. There's another very popular and favorite statement of mine. If you want to learn everything by yourself, you can. I'm sure you all are so smart, much smarter than what I am, but you'll need at least 10 lifetimes. But if you want to learn from your own learning and that of all people, well-wishers around you, you can not only learn a lot more in this life, but also enjoy the learnings and benefit from them within this one lifetime. So you decide whether you want to get a rebirth 10 times for the learning or want to enjoy life and the learning within this birth itself. So channelizing of the energy, finding your well-wishers and mentors, and that is, I think, the catch, because today getting a genuine mentor, a genuine well-wisher, unfortunately is not easy. Either people are so engrossed in their own struggles in life, or I don't know, is this a generation problem, Madam Rachna, that we all feel that the new generation is less trustworthy than us? I don't want to make that open statement, but somewhere I feel it's not easy to get genuine mentors today. So if you have a close friend, you have your family, you have a close mentor, just cling on to them, become a leech there, bug them. They might shout at you, but they mean good to you. So channelizing energy becomes very important, getting the direction becomes very important, and using it in the right way for the right means and the right result is absolutely essential. Otherwise, you are not only diluting the energy, you may even be doing harm to yourself and others.
Very well explained, sir, and such a beautiful message also. So being in a leadership position, working as the CEO of the company, you get to cope up with both millennials and the Gen X. So how do you bridge this gap, and how do you take them along?
Very, very tough question. Not only as a CEO, but also as a parent in your household. You also have kids who are millennials. Yeah. My first light statement is, in office, you have a department which is known as HR department. Okay, so you just leave it to them and tell them this is your KRA. You just do it and give that difficult work to them and say, show me the results. So coming back to reality, the first challenge you face in balancing between two generations and probably three generations, okay, very soon, is at home, is in the society you live in, is within your friend circle, because you have the various generations which are there. And when you come to office, you have two generations. In two years' time, you'll have the third generation, if not already, which is moving. I just said Zenite, you have Y, which is a millennial, and Z, which will come in centennials very soon. I think it is an opportunity if you want to take it positively. Because each generation has a very well-defined set of strengths. Let me come from, and millennials, please hear me out. Generation X, people like me, I may not be an ideal example, but more successful people than me are people, who after 30 years and 40 years of experience have made mistakes, like I just said, have learned a lot from themselves and others, and can give you wisdom which you don't want to waste your time on or may not even get the opportunity for. Be selfish. And according to me, selfish is not a negative term as long as you don't trample upon others for your success. So please be selfish and learn from others. And that is the one advantage you can take from Gen X. Coming to the millennials are a bundle of energy. Okay, they are IT super specialists from the womb of the mother. So, and Gen X were typewriter specialists. And we are learning, we think we know computers and laptops. We probably are using laptops as typewriters or little more than that. Okay, so that is a strength which millennials have, which we don't have. And we need to delicately balance the roles, expectations, and move forward, synergizing and complementing each other. And that is where, according to me, the role definitions, okay, and the various expectations from various employees of various generations should be very well defined. But the more difficult part in a family and in an organization is not defining these roles and expectations, is the cultural integration. And that is the toughest part. I've seen it personally in these turnaround companies. And one of the reasons, besides my passion for teaching and giving back to society, of actually mingling along with students and this generation, including NM and MIT and other colleges, is actually to be amongst the youngsters so that you can feel and think like the youngsters. That's besides the hidden, requirement of wanting to be young, because we all want to be a child, okay, not knowing that your age physically is going up, but at least mentally you can become a child. And you need to actually be amongst the millennials to think and understand the way they think. Similarly, they need to respect and acknowledge that there is a strength of wisdom and experience that our Gen X has. Now, that is where I think the success of companies and families who integrate this well culturally also comes in. So I thought that was important.
True, sir, true. So we all know they are all, future leaders in making. Right. How do they gear themselves up for the journey forward?
Yeah, first challenge is to define leader. Who's a leader? When are you a leader? And which leader am I talking about? And I assume that as professionals, millennials, when we talk of leadership, you're talking about the hierarchical leadership role. So I'll answer that later. Okay. Firstly, I want to be a leader of myself. I have some qualities in myself, and I need to keep upgrading and upskilling myself, reskilling myself, and pre-skilling myself. Okay, so that I can become a leader of each of the skills within myself. So the first leadership has to come individually. Then the leadership comes in my family, my society, and at the office place. One thing is for sure, whether I'm talking of upskilling, reskilling, or pre-skilling, it cannot happen overnight. Okay, gone are the days when you had MDs and CEOs, who were bald or white and gray head. You have, I'm not talking of, where family MDs and CEOs crop up. I'm talking of professionals. Now, depending on industry to industry, it could vary. In the healthcare industry, we have, and I've been very lucky. I must thank God and my mentors and my family for the support. There are people who have been luckier than me and deserving. Obviously, only luck does not help. You also have the leadership roles coming in at the early 40s and mid 40 roles. Okay, and I'm talking of vertical heads, functional heads, and then MDs and CEOs even at mid 40s. Now, millennials means you start at 25 now, years of age, going up to 45. So very successful millennials who have channelized their energy, who have planned their career path, who have been supported and mentored, have kept an open mind and been willing to take advice and support. My best wishes and compliments to people who are already at leadership roles. For those who want to be there, nothing wrong to aspire, you must aspire, because you're set to your journey only for that, right? You're coming to professional courses only to grow up in life. You have to support that ambition with realistic efforts, realistic planning, and realistic performance. So it has to be foundation at stage one. No skyrise was built without a strong foundation. And no skyrise was built without a plan. So number one, you have to be very clear in life what you want to do in life. There's so many opportunities. We used to crib as Gen X that, oh, there are only 3 opportunities. Either you be a graduate, become an engineer, become a doctor, or BA or BCom. That's it. Today, you have hundreds of opportunities within each of these verticals. So while the opportunities are many, there is also a problem of plenty. And there is also a competition element which has come in. So that there are pros and cons both sides. So as a millennial, you have to decide amongst the crowded options which are available, what do you want to do? And once you have decided that after your 12th standard, got into a professional course, and if I talk about a pharma MBA or a B.Pharm MBA, then you have decided that I want to do something in healthcare. Now in healthcare itself, there are multiple verticals. Your sales, your marketing, your HR, your finance, your operations, and R&D and the rest. So once you have decided that also, then you have to start supplementing it with your qualifications. And become an expert in them, because in today's competition, leaders are few. The team members are more. It becomes a cone, an inverted cone. Okay, and the pyramid, we know what shape of the pyramid is, and the numbers reduce dramatically the higher you grow up in the pyramid. Competition becomes stiffer. Differentiations become more subtle. And you cannot create a differential at the last 2 or 3 stages of a cone unless you have started working on it today. And just remember one thing, you can't say, acha 10 saal ke baad, I'll create a good image of myself. Believe me, the image you create in the beginning of your career is going to remain with you for a long time. And the world is very small, more so in healthcare in India. The same people you have worked with today who are not so senior to you will be your bosses tomorrow. And the image that you have created today will carry long. This is a very, very, very important message. I want to give you advice, because as a youngster, you tend to move out of college into the industry and maybe do some immature-ish acts or take some steps which are not so professional. They should not weaken your foundation and your image in life. So that's another very strong message that I want to give. As future leaders, you have to be focused to what you want to do. Decide which is the journey you want to take, what is the path you want to take. Create milestones which are not very long. Create short milestones. Benchmark yourself with the best in the industry for that stage of your milestone, and set timelines to achieve that. And when you do that, you're very clear whether you're on the right path, whether your timing is right, and whether you're benchmarking amongst the best or the mediocre in the race. So you have to be amongst a bunch of the front runners in a marathon. Otherwise, you'll never be able to finish the marathon at the front lane. So that's very important.
So true, sir. So if I would have to say that, according to you, what are the top 3 skills that will take you a long way in your professional career, professional life? What those top 3 skills would be?
Very difficult question, but my personal take is what I can give. It can vary from people to people. Like I said, the first thing is I need to set my foundation very right. And I can't dream of being a leader unless I work at the grassroots level. So that's step number 1. I need to work at the bottom level first. After that, my focus has to be very clear. Absolutely clear focus. And in that focus, get defined a lot of things. Where I want to be, when I want to be, and how I want to be. I just answer these questions and I will reach my destination. So where, when, and how is something which will answer most of the questions that you have asked me.
The 2 F's, the foundation and the focus.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So we all know that, there has been a lot of change post-COVID in the industry scenario, in the corporate scenario. So how, if you can share, what are the type of changes the industry has underwent?
I first want to clarify one point. Yeah. And I happen to be partially technically qualified to do that. I come from a life science microbiology kind of a background, come from healthcare for more than 30 years. And I was very fortunate in my previous company, Zydus Cadila, where in 2009-10, we had this H1N1 or swine flu threat which came in. And Zydus Cadila was the first company to launch Asia's first H1N1 vaccine. And the promoter gave that responsibility to me. So if you Google you'll find a lot of quotes on my name around that time. So one is a little better aware about these vaccines and these pandemics. Yeah. The challenge with today's pandemic, which is COVID, is there is more fear than reality which has got created. Pandemics are always dangerous, but they should not create a phobia. They should create a consciousness. They should create a concern for safety, but not a fear of death, not a fear of discrimination for people who have become, COVID positive. So that's number one. Will COVID change everything in life? I don't think it's a life changer. It is definitely an addition to a growing list of disruptors. And in the recent years, millennials probably are the catalyst for disruption. Millennials themselves are disrupting society, right? And disruption does not mean negative always. Disruption is only a drastic change. It can be a positive disruption. For example, artificial intelligence is not negative. Okay, your machine learning is not negative. Robotics is not negative. The automation, automatic, autonomous vehicles are not negative. Okay, your hyperloop technology is not negative. Blockchain is not negative. Now, added to these disruptors is COVID. So COVID is only another disruptor which is accelerating change, and the new buzzword which we are talking about is creating a new normal. AI, machine learning, blockchain was already creating a new normal. The world and the lifestyle of millennials is very different from Gen X. COVID is also changing life both socially and will also change it professionally. On the social front, what are the positives? When a Japanese tourist was seen in our, tourist spots in India, we would ridicule them. Mask dal ke kya kar rahe hain? They don't even have immunity. I think that's going to be a near normal today, because the SARS-CoV-2 vaccine or the COVID, not vaccine, virus, or the COVID virus as we are calling it, coronavirus, is here for a lifetime. The pandemic phase may stay another 6 months or so, but it's like a flu vaccine, the flu virus. The COVID virus is a lifetime virus now. So we have to protect ourselves, though the intensity might be lower, right? Now, how does it change life? Maybe the mask will become a near normal. Hygiene, which is so very important, we have learned it for ages, but probably started neglecting it. How often were we washing our feet and hand and faces? Okay, after reaching home or reaching offices or colleges. So these are the positives which are coming. On the negatives, social distancing, physical distancing, I don't think it'll last for very long. It'll start improving. So that will improve. Immunity is something which we have taken for granted. Junk food, not exercising, pranayam and all, we used to say, ye to sadhu sant mahatma ka kaam hai. Okay, now all of us are doing some kind of pranayam, breathing exercise, taking hot water, warm water instead of chilled water, eating fruits, trying to improve immunity, vitamin C. Now these are the positives. The adrak wali chai, the haldi wala doodh. So these are the positives which are coming in. Alternate medicine, the strength of Ayurveda and Indian tradition, homeopathy. Now all these are re-emerging as major alternatives in life. So that is the positive that COVID is doing. On the professional side, how is it? Now I'm not going into temporary disruption because this is not going to last. I don't want to talk about negativity. What definitely has happened is COVID has increased our consciousness and sensitivity to life as a whole. We have started valuing life. We have started valuing friendships. We have started valuing our family, good food, health, everything. We have also started valuing the importance of a job. Unfortunately, not everyone is lucky in these times. I only hope most people who have lost their jobs get them back and things normalize very fast. But we have realized, and for millennials, it's important to understand that every change of a job is also a disruption to you, because you have to re-establish yourself and you have to reorient yourself in a new environment. So it is also a shake-up to you. It's not going to be easy for you for the next 3 to 6 months. So I'm not saying don't look at opportunities, but don't just be reckless in jumping jobs. There is an advantage of continuity. And in today's time, when you want stability in an unstable and volatile environment, longer the employee in a job, safer is, at least relative safety is better. So that's the next message that I want to do. COVID, I have a patented statement that I've made. Okay, and I don't think you'll get it anywhere else other than my quote. And I hope no one, snatches this copyright from me. In my webinars, I use this quote. It is, especially when you talk of, a major change that COVID has initiated. Actually, Sundar Pichai, that's his name, right? Yeah. Our CEO of Google.
Yes.
Who pre-COVID 5 years back in 2015, I think, said that almost every industry in the world will become an IT industry. Because you can't escape it. And that's what has happened exactly now. Digitization, ITization, and technology has accelerated its induction into almost all industries, including our homes. I mean, I have two kids. You know them, obviously, both work from NM. Okay, daughter is into a job. Son is into his final year of your course in Pharma MBA. Wife is a senior teacher in one of the top schools. I am into job. All of us are on computers and laptops because you're working from home. Luckily, I'm working from office. Yeah. So which household has escaped? You're on mobiles and everything is happening on mobiles, whether it's banking, you're shopping, everything is happening. COVID has accelerated that for sure. Okay. And now comes my quote. From an optional peripherality, most of these digital and IT initiatives have become a central essentiality. So we had the option of to become IT savvy or not, digital or not, hygienic or not, okay, health conscious or not, yoga conscious or not. But today, COVID has made it a central essentiality. So that is a major transformation that COVID and these disruptors of AI and the rest of them have made. And this is going to stay. Hope the phobia does not stay. The cough of COVID should not be there. The other point I want to clarify here is, we cannot run away from the virus. The pandemic, the qualification of pandemic is very clear. Either a vaccine gives you the immunity, and vaccine is many months away, or you have to get natural immunity. And the only way you will get natural immunity is when you confront the virus. And 70 to 80% of the population has to get the antibodies to the virus to get something which we commonly call as herd immunity. Yeah. So either you face the virus by preparing yourself, by improving your immunity, or you run away and the virus chases you. So I'm not saying get reckless, but very intelligently and smartly, we have to increase the herd immunity till the vaccine comes in as fast as possible by protecting the vulnerable population. And that's exactly what we do in our professional lives, right? I'm not 100% perfect. I have to encash and build and work on my strengths and protect and defend my weaknesses. So I have to pick up a job, a company, a society, friendship who value my strengths without giving the negativity of my weaknesses. And that's exactly what we need to do in COVID.
Thank you so much, sir. You've shared some amazing insights, and I'm sure, all the people in the group watching this will definitely take some great learnings out of it. My last question to you is, if you had to give one advice to the millennials in this book, so that they get their dream career, their dream jobs, what would that be, sir?
Good. I'll just build up to that statement so that, I said that, right? And I'll use the messages I've given earlier. Friends, one thing is very clear. The opportunities are plenty. Competition is plenty. You cannot be everywhere and be the best everywhere. So you individually have to decide on your focus and what you want to do in life. And once you have decided what is my destination and the journey path is defined, then you have to work on how to get there. So what is defined? How is defined? By when is defined? So you start with your foundation. You build on your foundation. Only then can you reach the top floor and the terrace. And that is the leadership position. It can vary for people. It can be a vertical head. It can be a divisional head. It can be an MDCO. And I wish all of you all the best for an MDCO or the vertical head position. But unless your focus is clear and you work on it, and the message I want to give is very clear. And let me not give a message. Let me give a quote here, with your permission.
Sure, sir. Sure.
If you think you dare not, you won't. If you think you dare not, you won't. If you want to win, but you don't have the confidence, you certainly won't. Life's battles always do not go to the strongest and the fastest person. Sooner or later, the man who wins, including females, okay, it's a common statement. Sooner or later, the person who wins is the person who thinks he can. So you have to have belief in yourself. You have to have confidence in yourself. You have to prepare yourself. And one mantra which will differentiate you vis-a-vis everyone else after you've done this is passion. जोश जुनून passion के बगैर जिंदगी में कुछ नहीं हो सकता. And if you have the josh, junoon and the passion, and you do your work with this kind of direction that I've spoken about, life will be fun, working will be fun, and you will not be working for a single day of your life, because every day will be enjoyment and fun. So that's the message I want to give.
What a beautiful message, sir. Thank you so much. On behalf of all the viewers, I would like to thank you for taking out time and sharing these amazing insights, which will definitely help all of us go a long way in our careers and in our lives. Thanks a lot, sir. Thank you so much for coming on our show, Charcha. Thank you, sir.
Thank you for calling me. Friends, it's been lovely. I can't see you. I would love to meet you all individually during the course of our careers or in society. But I wish each one of you all the very best in life and in your careers. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks.